in San Diego. Coming up, guys, distant replay. Talk about Jack Kemp. He made a big impact on the field as a rushing quarterback and a leader. And at a sensitive time in American history, Kemp also showed early signs of his political roots. All the candidates have hit the high-profile spots this election season. Remember, the Packers were visited by President Clinton on one of his trips through Wisconsin. The White House and the NFL have plenty of connections if you go back. JFK and his brothers were interested in buying the Eagles. Nixon suggested plays to George Allen and the Redskins. But no president or vice president has ever played in the NFL. Tomorrow, Jack Kemp hopes that will change. The Republican candidate for vice president started half of the 10 AFL championship games and had more rushing touchdowns than any NFL quarterback. During his football career, his political roots were pretty clear, as you'll see in tonight's Distant Replay.
San Diego was the perfect setting for Jack Kemp to be named Bob Dole's vice presidential running mate at the 1996 Republican Convention. For it was in these city limits where Kemp first made a name for himself as a championship quarterback with a unique passing grip.
I think I was probably the only player in pro football that didn't hold the laces. I put the laces right in the middle of my hand. It just felt good to put the seam along the ridge of my fingers. And I had big hands, so that was my grip, and I could throw a football. I couldn't always hit somebody with it, but I could throw it pretty hard. I hit a guy in the hand one time and split his finger right down the middle.
He was a courageous player. It's absolutely necessary to run. He would run. He would never run out of bounds. He'd always try to help the team get the extra yards. And for a lineman who's used to doing their job under tough circumstances, that's probably immature, but that's the only thing we respect, is toughness, and Jack was tough.
But a hand injury ended Kemp's career with the Chargers, who put him on waivers. He was quickly claimed by Buffalo, a team possessing neither San Diego's offensive talent nor championship pedigree.
For a long time, he directed a hunt and peck offense. He was never better than directing a team which was really wounded. Somehow or other, he'd find a way to win game after game.
As a quarterback, it doesn't matter whether you throw a spiral or a end-over-end wobbly duck, as long as you get the job done. Jack put 2 championship rings on our fingers, and you can't say more than that.
To beat the Chargers was big for us because it wasn't revenge. It was just a chance to kind of say, hey, you guys made a big mistake.
Fans surged out in the field, record crowd at the time. They actually carried him off the field on their shoulders. Crowd full of Democrats, and here was, later to become a very prominent Republican, and hoisting him right up the tunnel. It was quite a memorable scene.
Soon, Kemp was overcoming even greater obstacles off the field.
He put together the leadership unit that went on to become the Players Association. He was the first president of the association.
We took steps to make sure that the owners recognized that the players had real concerns about training camp, about their safety. In fact, at one time, we had to go to the National Labor Relations Board to be even recognized by the owners. It just wasn't done in those days.
The 60s were also formative years in Kemp's political education, as Jack became a true believer in the conservative cause.
Jack Kemp and I were flying someplace talking about Goldwater and what Goldwater stood for. We got off the plane arguing. We went into the terminal arguing. We stood at the latrine next to each other arguing.
On the issue of civil rights, however, Faison and Kemp were in complete agreement.
To go into the South in those days, people sometimes forget that black players could not stay in hotels. Barron Hilton owned the Chargers, and his own team could not stay in the Hilton Hotel in Dallas or Houston. When we went to the game for the championship in Houston, my family went in and sat on the 50 or 49-yard line, and Charlie McNeil, co-captain's family, had to sit in the end zone behind ropes. I think about that, of how evil it was to separate people on the basis of the color of their skin.
Jack says even today that when you look in the huddle and you see faces from different ethnic groups working in harmony, that you can't leave, you can't throw that away once you leave football and get involved in other aspects of life.
He was colorblind. I mean, that's become really almost a phony line these days, but he truly was. Not only black players he played with, but those he played against. When he went into politics and ran for office for the first time, they came from all over the country to campaign for him. And it shows you how much esteem they had for him.
We knew that Jack was going places because he used to come in the locker room with all these big books, you know, on the politics and conservation and on any kind of subject that you could think of. And I can remember Lou Saban, our coach, saying, "Jack, forget those books. Get your mind on football. Let's get with it."
And there's a school of thought that if he had ate and slept and lived, breathed football, he might have been a better quarterback. But by the same token, he wouldn't have been as nearly as interesting a person.
Distant Replay is brought to you by the new Dodge. We're thinking ahead.